Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video for the John Candy Marathon. And this time it is Spaceballs. Collector's Edition, which is a 2-disc, has not too entertaining commentary of Mel Brooks from back, I think, the older DVD. On the second disc, you have a decent documentary, which have some thoughts from Bill Pullman, Daphne Zuniga, Joan Rivers, before I don't think she's with us anymore. Same with Dick Van Patten. Some thoughts with Mel Brooks, which is funny because Mel Brooks, when you look at him, he's looking more and more like yogurt every day. He looks less and less like Mel Brooks and more like the yogurt character as he grows older. Very fun movie. Oh, on the DVD, you get a little conversation between Mel Brooks and one of the writers, Thomas Meehan. Little featurette on John Candy and people's thoughts on him. Some film flubs, little trivia game, some photos and galleries, some trailers. Fairly decent collector's edition. And this is always the Mel Brooks film I saw the most growing up. I think a lot of people feel the same way. I didn't realize this film was not as much of a blockbuster as I thought it was, because it cost like 20-some million and it only made like 30-some million in the US box office when this came out in 1987, which is probably why there wasn't a sequel. I know there was some cartoon series later on and it looked like shit. I know there's been talks of doing a sequel, which they have the perfect title, Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. That would be either like Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2, or Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. That right there is the perfect title for a sequel. And this is when spoof films were actually good. Because whenever they make a spoof film nowadays, it's fucking torture. It's absolute torture. Scary movie sequels like 3 and 4, and especially 5. Movie 43. Would you call that a spoof? Well, some people would. Those seltzer bottle, whatever the fuck those Aaron Seltzer movies, vampires come, whatever the fuck it's called, I don't give a shit. What I'm saying is, anytime they do a spoof, it sucks. Here, it's actually funny because it's technically well made. I mean, you even have ILM working on the effects, and they got permission from George Lucas to do stuff. I think the only thing they couldn't do is make actual action figures based on the movie. But other than that, George Lucas went go for it. And Mel Brooks, I enjoy Young Frankenstein. I enjoy Blazing Saddles. I didn't see Silent Movie or High Anxiety, but I do like Robin Hood Men in Tights. I actually do like Dracula Dead and Loving It, which I think is the last film he directed. It's too bad Mel Brooks doesn't do much nowadays. But he's pretty up there. I think he's around 90 years old. But part of the reason why this film works so well, I mean, you look at that cast. I mean, you got not only Mel Brooks, but you got Bill Pullman, you got John Candy, you got Rick Moranis. All do a great job in the flick. You have, again, pretty good special effects. You know, model work of spaceships. Star Wars films, among other flicks, Star Trek. It's a good genre to spoof. And I thought it was fairly well written. A lot of Joe's work to this day, whether it be the longest ship shot ever, where this going over the model of the ship and it's taking forever. But a lot of the stuff is played not half-assed. Like the music by John Morris, the score is very good. I thought the song, you know, we're the Spaceballs, watch out. That's actually a pretty catchy song. You know, they got a good set of actors, production design on the silly stuff going on. I mean, the plot, it's Mel Brooks, Rick Moranis as Dark Helmet, and others as part of the Spaceballs. They want to steal the air from planet Druidia. And I know in the making of they mentioned the reason they called it Druidia is because they wanted to make a joke of she's a Jewish princess, and then someone goes, huh, she doesn't look Jewish. Just like she doesn't look Jewish. I mean, that was the thought process between Mel Brooks and the writers. And Rick Moranis, he's hilarious as Dark Helmet, just all the stuff he does. He's definitely one of the best parts of the movie to me is Rick Moranis. He's got the helmet on, he's breathing heavily, and he's like, I can't breathe in this thing. And a guy pisses him off, and the guy goes, oh, shit. And instead of the force, he has the shores, and Rick Moranis hits a guy's crotch. And the guy's like, oh, I need to make coffee. Here you go. Here's your Mr. Coffee. And like they do exposition, Rick Moranis looks in the camera. Y'all got that? Or the whole thing with the raspberry. Only one man would give me the raspberry. Lone Star. Or when they're going ludicrous speed, and the other guy's like, we can't stop. I think it's George Weiner. He does a good job as a subordinate. And he's like, yo, I order you, stop. And they stop the ship, and Rick Moranis flies all the way to the front, crushes his helmet. There's like this bit here. So everyone okay? Smoke them if you got them. And yeah, Rick Moranis is one of the best parts of the film, but a lot of things work in this. And it's the princess supposed to marry this guy named Prince Valium, and she leaves with her robot dot matrix voiced by Joan Rivers. And Daphne Zuniga as the princess, she did perfectly fine. She was not annoying. She wasn't bad. Did she did well. And just a lot of stuff I remember that stick out in my mind ever since I saw this when I was a kid. I mean, like John Candy and Bill Pullman in their Winnebago. Them talking to this figure called Pizza the Hut, a thing made of pizza. Daphne Zuniga has the Leia headphone, well, the buns, and you realize they're headphones. She listens to music, she takes it off, and the buns come off. Mel Brooks, when he's supposed to get beamed, he's sort of the leader of the Spaceballs. He gets beamed, and when he gets beamed, his head gets turned around, and his ass is here. Beam me back, beam me back. You know, I'll just walk. And he just walks like 3 feet, is in the next room. Or going back to Rick Moranis, when the bad guys are going to the princess, you know, Dark Helmet goes, I want a warning shot across her nose. And they're shooting. And then Rick Moranis puts this thing up. I said across her nose, not up it. And the guy turns around, he's cross-eyed. Who hired this guy? And then it's another guy cross-eyed. I did. He's my cousin. What's his name? Asshole. I know he is, but what's his name? No, that's his name. Major Asshole. What about him? That's Asshole. First Gunnery Sergeant Asshole. How many assholes we got on this ship? And everyone raises their hand. Of course, I'm surrounded by assholes. Keep firing, assholes. It's, yeah, you could say it's juvenile. But to me, it's juvenile that works well. Like Mel Brooks in a film like this handled that very well. And the actors sell it. That's part of the thing. If you don't have that kind of stuff, you better have a good director and you better have a good cast that can sell that stuff. Otherwise, you're going to be extremely irritated. But I also don't want to shortchange Bill Pullman because this is one of his first big roles. He had done a bit part of Ruthless People. And I know around the same time he would do The Serpent and the Rainbow. I think actually a year after this he would do that. So this is, I guess, sort of his big break in a way. And Bill Pullman talks a little bit. He seems very proud of the film. He's really good as sort of the Han Solo. Kind of like if Han Solo, Luke Skywalker melded together into a character that's sort of him. And like when he's talking to John Candy, who plays Barf, half man, half dog. I thought Bill Pullman, John Candy worked well together, and uh, they get hired by Dick Van Patten, the father of the princess. Hey, go save my daughter. They take the job, and I like the dialogue where Bill Pullman tells John Candy, "We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money." And they jam the bad guys, but it's actually jam. Like they actually throw jam at the censor. And you have Michael Winslow from the Police Academy films who does all those sound effects. That's one of my favorite scenes where this screen of his is messing up and all the noises is done by him. I can't even do it well. It's Michael Winslow. He can do it. Like you hear static. It's like shit. Sir. You don't need that. Sir. Stop it. I lost the bleeps. I lost the creeps. And look, sir, we've been jammed. And then Rick Moranis, raspberry. Only one man would give me the raspberry. Lone Star. And I never noticed this until now. That's what was fun. Is that when Rick Moranis is saying that, and the camera's pushing in, you see Rick Moranis hit his subordinate, and the George Weiner guy, he looks at camera, and then quickly goes out of the frame, and then the camera focuses on Rick Moranis, and then that's when like the camera hits him and he falls down. I never noticed the fact that he taps his subordinate. He looks at camera and says, "Oh shit, let me get out of the way so you can get your close up." And that was done on purpose, not a mistake. I thought that made me chuckle. That made me laugh. And Bill Pullman, John Candy saves him from the tractor beam, and the bad guys have to go to ludicrous speed, and that's like I said, like Dark Hammer flies into the front. And the good guys, they crash land on a desert planet. And something I noticed when John Candy gets up on his seatbelt, oh, that's going to leave a mark, and leaves. That's sort of a thing Chris Farley would say a lot in his early films. That's going to leave a mark, especially in Tommy Boy. And I'm wondering if Chris Farley ever got that from John Candy. Maybe, maybe not. Just something I noticed. And Bill Pullman has a talk with the princess, and he says a line that I say a lot. If you notice the years I've been doing reviews, if I ever say this line, it's from this movie, where Bill Pullman goes, "Welcome to real life." There's been a few rants and other stuff that I've said that in my videos, and inspired by this flick. When Bill Pullman's saying that to Daphne Zuniga, who's wants him to carry this big old thing, and there's like this gigantic fucking hair dryer, and he's like, "I said only take what you need to survive." And she goes, "Well, that's my industrial hair dryer, and I can't live without it." Drops the shit. And then you cut to the bad guys, and the bad guys, I want to get this dialogue. Again, one of my favorite parts of the movie, I would say my favorite part are the bad guys. Like, the good guys did a good job. Bill Pullman, John Candy. I will say John Candy, he doesn't have too many memorable bits. Like, he's good in the film, but he didn't give me the most laughs. I would say Rick Moranis probably gave me the most laughs out of this particular film. But they talk about how the bad guys talk about, well, how do we find them? I got an idea. Instant cassettes. Spaceballs the movie. And they put the movie in, they fast forward it, and they go past the scene where Rick Moranis flies off to the front, and Rick Moranis goes, "Skip this part, skip this part. In fact, never show this part again." Never play this again. And yeah, this very funny scene. Again, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is they stop it and they're at the scene where they're at now. And Rick Moranis is like, what the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie? And his subordinate, the colonel, goes, now. You're looking at it now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now. What happened to then? We passed then. When? Just now. We're at now. Go back to then. When? Now. Now? I can't. Why? We missed it. When? Just now. When will then be now? Soon. It does bring me back to the Who's on First, Abbott and Costello stuff, which I enjoy, and I a lot of times I enjoy that stuff in movies. I really do. When they're done well, I should say. When they're done well. But yeah, the good guys, they pass out in the sand and they get saved by these pretty much Jawa types who are actually humming the music from Bridge on the River Kwai, which is an ode to Alec Guinness, who was in Star Wars but was also in Bridge of the River Kwai. So they're whistling do 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 do. They get saved, brought to the Yoda in this film called Yogurt. And this was 1987. This really predicted how merchandising was going to be. It was big because of Star Wars, but after this, it got so much bigger about how. I mean, there's even line dialogue where merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made, and I'm like, you're not kidding. Even then, you guys were ahead of your time with this. And Mel Brooks plays Yogurt as well, and he goes, Spaceballs the cereal, Spaceballs the lunchbox, Spaceballs the T-shirts, Spaceballs the flamethrower. The kids love that, and that's true. Merchandise is a lot with nowadays, especially when they make these big movies. It's like, how can we sell it? How can we make toys out of it? Just ask John Peters when they were trying to do that Superman movie with Nicolas Cage. I mean, that Great Death of Superman Lives documentary. It is a common thing nowadays in Hollywood. I mean, it was back then, but more so now. And then going back to the bad guys, yeah, this funny thing where Mel Brooks tells them, comb the desert. And then they literally comb the desert with these gigantic combs. And even someone goes, aren't we taking this a little bit too literally? No, you tell us to comb the desert, we don't comb it. You guys find anything? And one guy goes, we ain't found shit. And that's from a PG movie. This is a PG film in 1987. You get away with a lot back then. But Yoder gives some training to Bill Pullman and the use of the Schwartz, instead of the Force, the Schwartz. Rick Moranis tricks Daphne Zuniga into being with him, pretending to be her father, and then Rick Moranis goes, "Fooled you!" And later on, you see Rick Moranis playing with all these action figures and playing with these dolls, and someone busts in and he's reacting as if he was caught jerked in the chain. Did you see anything? No, I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. Okay, get out of here. I mean, again, I enjoy the cast, but I would say my favorite part is Rick Moranis' character. He got the most laughs out of me. Him and his subordinate, like those two guys' interaction, their scenes are my favorites. But the good guys, John T. and Bill Pullman, go to rescue the princess and her robot, and they kick some ass, rescue them. John Candy gets this thing that bounces back the lasers and hits the bad guys. Or a classic scene where they jump over this closing door and the bad guys have them. He's like, "You idiot! You've caught their stunt doubles!" That's a genius right there. You idiot! You You've captured their stunt doubles. I never would have thought of that as a joke, but it's a perfect joke for that scene. It really is. And even Daphne Zuniga gets to be tough and has her female Rambo moment where she gets a machine gun, the laser gun, which was a badass moment. And weirdly enough, this was, if you think about it, you got to see a live action Transformer first in this movie before. I mean, there's the animated Transformers movie, but before those live action Michael Bay ones, they even mention it's a Transformer, and the Spaceball spaceship turns into this Mega Maid with this giant vacuum, which that's how they're going to suck the air out of the Did Van Patten's planet. I mean, holy shit, it's a live action Transformer. You could have done it in the 80s. They did it right there with in a fucking spoof comedy. You could have done it in live action then. I'm sure with the Transformers, you would have given a bigger budget than, Spaceballs got. But, so you could have done the 80s right there. Bill Pullman's able to hit the switch with the Schwartz to reverse that so they save the planet. And they go and try to blow up the Spaceballs spaceship. That's really a fun scene where, like Bill Pullman, again, I don't want to shortchange him. He does a great job. He tries to do the Vulcan nerve pinch. Even the guard goes, "What the hell are you doing? Vulcan nerve pinch? No, 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 man, that's too high. You gotta get here by the collar." Like that? Yeah. The fight scene between Rick Moranis, Bill Pullman with the Schwartz, it's, wow. Your Schwartz is as big as mine. Let's see if you know how to handle it. And they're fighting, and Rick Moranis actually, he accidentally kills a crew member of the Spaceballs set. And Rick Moranis goes, "He did it." And Bill Pullman's like, "What?" And they go with their fight. It's a fun little fight. And Rick Moranis like, "Hey, I know, man. Put it there." And Bill Pullman shakes, and Rick Moranis steals the knife. "Oh my God, I can't believe you fell for it. What's with you, man?" "Oh, maybe you want." "Oh no, you fell for it again." "Well, Lone Star. Evil will win, 'cause good is stupid." Cause good is dumb. Just a lot of very laugh out loud moments for this. Um, and Bill Pullman's able to use the Schwartz to get this mirror to block the crotch shot that he was going to get, and goes back on Rick Moranis, who accidentally hits the self-destruct button. Everyone's got to escape, and you get all this crazy stuff. People escaping, different kinds of people escaping, and all that's left is Mel Brooks, the leader, Rick Moranis, and his colonel subordinate. And the ship blows up, and like the headpiece falls on a planet, and it's a planet of apes. And those three are alive, but like one of the apes goes, "Well, shit, there goes the planet." It's just weird hearing in Planet of the Apes say shit. And the good guys return the princess, and Bill Pullman, John Candy Lee, they stop at this space gas station. And again, one of my favorite scenes to do an ode to Alien. They even get John Hurt back to have an alien pop out of him, and he's like, "Oh no, not again." But my favorite is this other guy, where someone goes, "Give him water." The guy goes, "Water my ass! Breathe this guy some Pepto-Bismol." That's that has to be my favorite line in the movie. I don't know who the actor is who said it, but "Water my ass! Breathe this guy some Pepto-Bismol." I cracked up hearing that again. I forgot about that line. And, and then the little xenomorph alien, instead of scurrying around, it actually does a dance number. Kind of like back in the day, you had the cartoon with the frog that was, "Hello, my baby. Hello, my sunshine." He does the same thing. This right here, dancing, scurries off. And one thing leads to another. Bill Pullman finds out he's actually a prince all along. Yoder says his goodbyes. They come back. The princess and Bill Pullman get married. Everything's okay now. Do I have any problems? I like John Candy in the film, but it didn't seem like there were many scenes that I really laughed out loud involving him, which is surprising because it's John Candy. I mean, I'm glad he's in the film. He does a good job, but I can't really remember much lines of dialogue or moments that of him that made me laugh. I mean, as I'm doing this review, I mention more of Rick Moranis or Bill Pullman or even that one guy who the Pepto Bismol guy. But John Candy, he does a good job, but I don't remember much dialogue with him in it. Like he serves the film well. It's just maybe it could have gotten some better jokes or better lines of dialogue or feed him some better lines. That's like a little nitpick though. And I'm still glad John Candy's in the film. And that he does a good job acting wise. But I couldn't say he's my favorite character in the film. Joan Rivers, Dot Matrix, honestly, that robot could have been just out of the movie. I just did not care. There's one bit where it has a virgin alarm when Bill Pullman's trying to get near Daphne Zuniga. It did not need to be in the film. It's like, it's there because Star Wars have a droid. But you could have had a funny droid, or an interesting droid, or there's really nothing to Dot Matrix. Again, could have been easily cut out of the movie, or just not much to her. I mean, again, I can't think of one line of dialogue that was funny or anything, so didn't really care for Dot Matrix. She could have been out of the film. John Candy, maybe give him some more lines of dialogue or better comedic moments. But again, he served the film well. He played off well with Bill Pullman. Although that would have been interesting if John Candy was the Bill Pullman role. And Bill Pullman did a great job, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that'd be interesting because that'd be unique that, a guy like John Candy be the lead in a movie like Spaceballs. Just, oh, that's not typical. Well, that's the idea. So I just thought of that would be interesting. Like his character in the great outdoors or such. But I don't want to take that away from Bill Pullman. He does a really good job. These are just like teeny little nitpick things, but very, very fun comedy. Absolutely hilarious. My favorite Mel Brooks film. Still made me laugh a lot. The effects still hold up decently for what they were supposed to be in the 80s. I mean, they were not cheap and they were not half-assed. So the production design and I thought the effects were still fun to watch. A lot of funny jokes, a lot of very memorable scenes, some fun lines of dialogue, a lot of and a great cast. I really enjoy Spaceballs. It's a great flick. It was a lot of fun watching this again. So, Spaceballs the movie, and I would not want to see a sequel now because I mean, so many people have passed away, including John Candy himself. Yeah, it's too late to do a sequel, so nah. Maybe a few years after this, like 2, 3 years after, maybe, but not now. Either way, very fun movie. If you haven't seen it, I think it's well worth it. But thanks for watching. Take care. And God damn it, get that guy some Pepto Bismol.